Police officer attempted to intimidate my patient, loses fight to physics. I'm a paramedic. A few months ago, we're coming back from a routine patient transfer when at an intersection about 4 blocks from the base, I notice a woman sitting on the side of the road with her arms wrapped around herself and her head down. I nudge my partner who's driving, and we flip on the lights, and I see her head come up real fast, and she looks terrified. I get out and she relaxes. When she sees the ambulance, after I approach, I notice bruising on her wrists and other similar signs of domestic abuse. She seems hesitant to get up off the curb and into the ambulance, so I decided that I would at least pull the cot out of the back and give her something a little more comfortable than concrete to sit on. Now a few important details. All the cots in my service are Stryker-powered cots. You've almost certainly seen these before. They're bright yellow with black handles and side panels. These cots have a motor and battery built in to allow us to raise and lower the cot at the touch of a button instead of throwing out our backs having to physically lift the cot up after loading someone. They're usually paired with an automatic loading system built into the ambulance that lifts the cot up to the right height to be pushed inside and also secures the cot when loaded. There's a little red tab at the end of the track just inside the doors that you press down to free the cot and allow it to slide out. When you press this tab, it simply releases the cot and the loading carriage it's connected to, and it's up to you to keep it under control until it reaches the unload position and locks into place again. This can be problematic because these cots weigh about 125 pounds, about 55 kg. As soon as I hit the release tab for the cot, I hear lights and sirens behind me. It's a city police car. Which is weird because we had not yet requested police, and we were outside the city in the sheriff's department jurisdiction. We merely informed dispatch that we were stopping to check on a woman at such and such intersection. The woman says something along the lines of, "Oh God, he's here," and moves faster than me seeing free food being distributed at base. She dashes past me and pretty much hurls herself into the ambulance, sitting on the bench seat. The cop is approaching and he's pissed. I put 2 and 2 together and slam the ambulance doors shut. Let's call this officer Police Officer Stave, or POS for short. POS. Is that Bai? Is she in there? Me. Who? POS. You know damn well who I'm talking about. Me. You mean my patient? I'm afraid I haven't gotten a name yet. BO. Open those doors. I need to talk to her. Me. You're not using my rig as an interview room. You can talk to her at the hospital. We go back and forth like this for a few minutes. My partner at some point came back to see what the holdup was, but overheard my stonewalling and went back to the cab to call our chief. I continue my routine of deny and delay until a pair of deputies, likely specifically requested for this by the chief, arrive. Oh good. Now I have witnesses. See, we had stopped on an upwards incline. I had hit the release tab on the cot, and it wanted to slide back. I had to close the doors so swiftly I didn't bother pushing the cot back against the stops and locking it in place. Emboldened by the presence of 2 deputies, he gets in my face. "Get out of my way, or I'm going to have to charged with obstruction." Okay. I step out of his way, and he opens the double doors. Between the cot, the monitor, and the jump bag, I'd say there was probably close to 160 pounds contained by those doors, all of which comes barreling out and hits POS square in the chest. He goes backwards and falls on his ass. One of the deputies laughs aloud. The other walks up and kneels down beside the guy. He says, "Your shift captain is got to be here in 5. I wouldn't be here then if I were you." POS gathers himself up and scowls at me, then stomps off. There's a limited amount that I can say about the aftermath as the trial is not settled yet, but we all know how well charges stick to cops. The woman is now living elsewhere. The cop is still a cop, and I've been getting pulled over at least twice a week ever since then. But the video footage of him getting body checked by that cot remains one of the best things I have seen. Story 2. Call the police? Sure. In our mid-20s, my husband and I purchased and moved into our rather modest first house with our infant daughter. I made a big effort to meet and befriend our neighbors, and all of them warned me to be careful of one particular person. Jane. Jane had lived in the street for 3 years at this point and had earned herself the nickname Big Fat Jane, as she was manipulating, intimidating, and thoroughly awful. Jane ran a daycare from her house, but neighbors on both sides reported hearing her scream at the children and leave them unsupervised in the garden. It's important to note that Jane's partner is a police officer. The neighbors were scared of retaliation if they reported her or stood up to her. It seemed Jane would use this to get away with her horrific behavior. Our house had a driveway with a dropped curb big enough for one car, but we could fit both if you blocked in the first and only used the second car. Parking on the street was very limited, and we had double yellow lines outside our house, not allowed to stop park there. During some essential roof work, our driveway was taken up by scaffolding and a skip, so we parked in the street and my husband parked outside BFJ's house. The next day when he went to his car, BFJ came running down her path shouting at him. She screamed about his antisocial parking, that his car would be towed, and that he could expect it to be scratched up if he left it there any longer. My husband calmly explained it was a public road and she had not right to police the space. Her screeches at this point were loud enough that I and several neighbors heard and came to see the commotion. Her partner was perched at the door during all of this, saying and doing nothing. When she saw me on pavement with our daughter, she pointed and screamed, "You'll have the social on you if you don't fuck off. I'll scratch you right up." At this point, I told my husband to come back and we were calling the police. She responded, "Call the police! I fucking dare you!" He's pointing at her partner. "A policeman! He'll faster as kicking sort you out. You won't know what hit you." At this point, my husband looked at her husband and said, "Is that right? And you're agreeing with what she's said?" The partner nodded and said, "You need to move or accept the consequences. You call the police? It won't get you anywhere." Funnily, when I then took out my phone and dialed the non-police emergency number on speakerphone and made a police report, both of them looked a lot less confident. BFJ stood there open-mouthed, then grabbed her partner and slammed the door. And we haven't heard from her since. Her partner was placed on suspension due to the allegation, and further allegations from our neighbors. He then returned to an admin role. After our confrontation, BFJ was given a warning for a public order offense. However, due to a number of reports, her daycare closed and she is no longer able to mind children. Their house is up for sale. However, she made a number of modifications without proper planning or works people. Its price is significantly lower than they expected, and they're in negative equity. All because of a parking space. Story 3. Tell me to smile? Bet this isn't what you meant. After a long, stressful day at school, I was picked up by my dad to go to his house. My parents are divorced. You could see in my face that I was tired and just wanted to get home. I was in the back seat staring out the window and my dad decided to say, "Come on, smile, don't look so miserable." Most people don't smile if they're tired or stressed. Common sense. I'd had enough of being told to smile by anyone, old men, my parents, etc. So I decided I would follow his request. I put on the biggest, craziest, most Joker-like smile I could form and held it until I went to bed. We had to stop at the shops to get dinner. Everyone thought I was crazy, but it was worth it. He was completely and utterly embarrassed. Tried to get me to stop as we were getting stared at. Alas, I did not, as I wanted to prove my point.